Hello, I'm Epiphany Castro, and welcome to 30 Days and 30 Nights of Questions, my video blog. So here I am, there you are. I still have this stupid cold, but I got out of bed because I promised. I promised that I was going to do this, right? So I'm doing it. So you guys have some very interesting questions, and I've tried, and I always try to be really forthright. So let's get to the question, shall we? All right, so let's see. How far back can you trace your family tree, and can you describe them? On my mother's side, I can go back to my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather coming from Ireland to Mississippi, marrying my grandmother, having their children, then my grandmother moving to California in 1942, to Berkeley specifically, to where they purchased their home. My mother's father, my grandfather, Henry, was also from Mississippi, but I don't know past him. He had 7 brothers and sisters that are spread throughout the U.S. Hence why when we have a family, reunion, it's every other year in a different state. All right, so, but I really haven't been to one in a really long time. It's a long story. But my father's family is from New Orleans, and he has traced back generations. Like, there's oral, there's written. They're very, I would venture to say Creole people are very specific. To me, you're a black person or you're a black person. To my father's family, they call themselves Creole, and it's like a race of people to that certain group of people or whatever. I don't know. I have those things available to me, but I haven't delved into them. My father has given them to me for my son. I haven't been, frankly, that interested. Here's why. I was mostly raised by my maternal side of my family. My mother and father divorced when I was 1, and I didn't see him that often, like twice a year. And so my interest in that side of the family was pretty minimal. But I'm pretty happy with knowing a lot of stuff about my mother's family because that's what I knew. Okay, so I hope that answers it a little bit. I know a little, I don't know a lot. If I chose to know more, the information is available to me. I just haven't been interested. Okay, so let's see. You are, y'all kill me. You are unique and aware, gifted and real. I hope so. Does this come from your grandmother, or have you been gifted from when you were born? Well, yes and no, and maybe so. My grandmother was born November 16th. I was born November 17th, and I'm extraordinarily like her. But at the same time, I'm a lot like my mother. My mother was a Leo. My grandmother was a Scorpio. And I grew up in a home with my mother, her siblings, because she was divorced, her siblings and my grandparents for a long time. In that time, it wasn't that cool for women to live out on their own singularly with a young child, so we lived with my grandparents. But I was raised a lot by my grandparents up until when my grandmother died when I was in the 8th grade. And then my mother came and I lived with her and my stepfather. But here's the thing, to answer your question, yes and no. I think children choose their parents, and I think I chose my mother and father. My mother was, because she's passed on. Extraordinarily sensitive, like myself. She had a genius IQ. She was fast on her feet, fast thinker, interested in so many things. So many things. My mother was really interested in stuff. And, I guess, how they say people with genius IQs often are crazy? Well, she was in her own way. She was in her own way. But I think my uniqueness is from being a nerd, gifted. Well, that's a matter of opinion, Real, it's because I don't know any other way to be. And it's far more difficult to be a liar than to speak the truth. You can't keep up with the lies you told. It's much easier to just tell the truth. So in a way, I suppose I was born with who I am because I chose my parents before I came into this universe. In a way, my grandmother was extraordinary, so domestic. I love that about my grandmother. My grandmother was a wedding gown seamstress. And so she sewed a lot. She gardened a lot. She like me, she was very artistic. My mother, she was artistic in her own way. But what she was more than that was eclectic. We used to go to Japantown for fun. When we didn't have any money, we would take the bus and go to Japantown and shop around and look at other things. Excuse me, just for fun. We would go to the comic book store and get junk food and comic books on rainy days because my mother didn't have a lot of money, and that's what we did. We watched Three Stooges movies. It's just, my family was pretty dope. And last question, because this cough is killing me. Do you ever crave food that you've given up? Mostly no. Sometimes yes. Sometimes I crave cheese because I used to love cheese. Loved it. But meat, no. But yeah, sometimes I do, but I don't eat it because I'm vegan. So I'll have something else. Sometimes you have to recognize why you're craving things. If you're out of emotion, sadness, boredom, whatever. And then really take 20 minutes to decide if you really want to put that in your mouth. 20 minutes. Because it takes your tummy 20 minutes for the brain to send the signal to tell you that you're full or that you don't really want that. I gotta go. My family's calling. My dogs have just come into the room. Hi, you guys. Hi. Okay, so I'm doing my blog. 3030. Keep them coming. I hope I answered your questions. I'm going back to bed. I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.